Well, you know, my name is Donna Dunlop, and I was born in Toronto in the East End. That's where I grew up. I spent my first 12 years in East York, and then we moved to Don Mills. And then when the day after my 16th birthday, I struck out on my own. I left home. I got a job down at King and Bay at the Bank of Montreal. That was the first of several jobs that I had because jobs were easier to come by in those days. And I got in with a creative bunch of people. My boyfriend played the guitar, and he wrote down 3 chords on the side of a shoebox. And I treasured that shoebox because that's where I started to learn to play the guitar, and I developed calluses on my left hand, which I was very proud of, you know. And I got my own guitar. Actually, I bought it at Whaley Royce, which was a lovely old music store. It used to be down on Yonge Street, just south of Gerrard, and bought it on time. And my father signed for it, said, you know, he'd be good for the money if I wasn't. But I came through and paid off my guitar. And then I got my second guitar, which was just a dream come true because it was a Martin D18 and ancient, you know. It was my age. Well, I wasn't ancient then, but anyway. Enough about that. The girl, a fabulous guitar player, was selling it. And she came into my room. I was living then at the corner of Bernard and Huron on the top floor, in a kind of, you know, garret attic room. Excuse me. And she wanted to sell it to buy a used car. So I bought it from her. I paid her $50 a month for so many months, and the guitar was mine. It had the most beautiful tone, and I kept it. That was my one guitar for my career, and so I was very lucky to have such a beautiful instrument to work with. So that's basically the beginning of my story. I started to play, like, quote, professionally when I got a job at the Beggars Banquet, which was on Queen Street West. And I did an audition via a friend who had a night there, and the owner of the Beggars Banquet, which is a vegetarian place, good place, wonderful food. He offered me a job, and for one night a week, and I was a basket on the corner of the stage. People could pay you that way. You got a meal out of it, you know. You got good exposure. You weren't using a microphone. You had to learn to really sing to, you know, reach the back of the room. I mean, it wasn't huge. It was a smallish space, but that was good experience. And I guess when I finished, I guess there's a bit of a gap here, sort of saying I finished university. Well, how did she do that if she just did grade 10? You know, finished grade 10. It was unfortunate, but in 1970, just after the October crisis in Quebec and my 22nd birthday, first my father died suddenly, and then my mother, who had been hospitalized, died a month later to the day. And it was a hard time, but it ended up that I inherited some money from the sale of the house, and then I went to university. But how I got in was I took a pre-university course. I took grade 12 history and English at Jarvis Collegiate. I wanted to study history, and then I thought, in my mind, no, I want to study English literature because there's history in there. It's of a different sort. It's an interpretation of a different kind. It's kind of the same thing. So I did that, and I did a master's degree in English literature, which I was very proud of course, having just gotten grade 10, you know. But anyway, music and writing, I've always been writing poetry. I'd written my first poem when I was 12, or younger than that actually. And then songwriting became important to me, and it was part of the zeitgeist of the time, you know, to write songs and to perform. And I was just, I can't remember the next place I went to. You know, there are highlights in my life. I actually was able to make a living at my craft throughout the 80s, which was a great source of satisfaction to me. You know, I really felt I'm doing the right thing. I'm doing the right work here. You know, this feels good. I like this. I give it my all. You know, and people feel that, they appreciate that, they respond to that, and it's a very nice interaction you have. You play some different kinds of places. You play very places that are, you know, like will treat you very well, and then other places where you're not sure you're going to get paid, you know. But I played the Book Barn. Do you remember that, Madeline?
Yes.
Book Barn down at was it Church in Front?
Yeah.
Yeah, they set up a stage in there, and I felt it was like a living room, you know. I felt I was at home. And that was fun. And then I played the Lambton, I guess in the late 70s, but I'm not even sure I booked this gig for myself. I think it was my friends, a band called the Frigid Airs. They were two boys, and I didn't even have my own sound equipment at that stage, and they set me up, you know, in the afternoon, and, you know, we're ready to go in the evening. I remember the stage being like really big and really tall, and it had a metal edge on it. I thought, don't catch your foot in that, you know. So I didn't. Anyway, I think it was you know, it was very different around Lambton then. The townhouses that now exist up to the east. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there was a big parking lot out
yeah,
there.
There was a big lot there.
Mm-hmm.
There was lots of space, and the room seemed huge too, as well as the stage. You know, everything did, and you know, I enjoyed myself. You know, although I knew that, you know, it would be really like better if there was a band, you know, somehow for that space. But again, it's all a learning curve, learning experience, and you always do your thing. I used to mix my repertoire up. I knew that I couldn't just sing songs that nobody knew, which would be my own songs, and so I'd play. I was first started as a country artist. I liked the traditional country, the old really heartfelt songs like Hank Williams, you know, Hank Snow, Canadian. I played the Crossroads Tavern down on Danforth near Coxwell. Yeah, and that was a bit like a Blues Brothers movie. You know, they had like a sort of a semi-fence around the stage. And one guy in there asked me, well, why don't you play women's songs? Like, you know, I guess he wanted me to play, was it Stand By Your Man or something? I said, my heart's not in it, you know. But, so.
What was it like for a single act back then, a woman especially?
Oh, well, in that place, there was a case of harassment. We actually had a little court case, yes, something naughty happened, and I took umbrage. So that was, I was the first woman to have played at the Crossroads Tavern, and probably the last, you know. But I can put that on my CV if I like, you know. But where else? One place which was really fun was the Kleinberg Binder Twine Festival. You know, the Binder Twine Festival
Yes.
that Pierre Burton started up in beautiful Kleinberg. And the people there were lovely, lovely people. And I was there several years in a row. You know, what is it? It's the second Saturday in September every year. I believe that's what it is.
Yeah.
And the funniest thing though was coming on again on a solo act. I came on after a mariachi band, which was refusing to leave the stage, and I'm sure the stage was still vibrating from them. You know, when I stepped out there with my guitar, you know, to sing my little songs. That was fun. It was all good, and they took, the people who hired you took good care of you, you know.
Yeah.
And it was a nice day, very nice day. Always, we never got rained out. And then I realized that I played around southern Ontario. You know, there are numerous places. I played a lot of Legion Halls. I didn't like the smoke because I would get bronchitis, so I'd go outside and do yoga breathing, you know, on my breaks. You know, try and clear my lungs, and so that was a bit of a problem, getting sick. But anyway, I realized that I should maybe start recording, so I did. I started making 45s, which I did have some good luck with. And I was riding high on the charts in Ottawa, and I got invited up to with a song called I'll Always Be a Cowgirl. And I got invited to play at a big festival up there, Palmer Rapids Twin Festivals. They had a bluegrass stage and, you know, a country stage. And that was enjoyable. But I started recording, and as I said, and I really enjoyed the process. And also I had other people playing with me, you know, and I had good musicians because I met them because I'd been on the CBC radio program. Bill Garrett was a producer at CBC, and somehow I'd sent something there and he'd contacted me. So I was on the radio first before I was on the TV, later on the Tommy Hunter show. And that was great. It was the first time I'd really worked with a band. And they were just the best musicians you could imagine, you know, so I was lucky. And so we did that, and then I sent a song of mine called Louisiana Sky to the Tommy Hunter show. I was writing about, I felt I could write, a Canadian girl could write about Louisiana because my middle name's Louise, so it had a sort of, you know, justification there. Anyway, they liked the tune, and that's what I sang on Tommy Hunter. And of course, again, I was, you know, backed up by everybody. That was great. There was the fiddler there. He was fantastic. So that was a good experience. And then I thought, well, I'll try and find other TV shows. I like TV. This is fun. And I appeared on different local shows that I found, and one that I appeared on regularly, I mean I was on it about 4 times, that seems to me kind of regular, was Walter Ostenick's Polka Time. And Walter is a Juno winner. He also won the lottery. A few years ago I heard in the news he'd won like $1 million in the lottery, and he deserves it. And anyway, so I did that show, and that was fun. And the other thing that happened was I produced a cassette. This is before CDs existed, called Blue Highway of all original tunes. And I sent that, well, I sent it to different places. I sent it to Warner Music, I think it was Warner Music, yeah, in Canada. Anyway, I got a call from them, like they were interested. And they came up with the term, this is country art, and like, you know, and I happened at that time to sort of be planning to go to Nashville because I'd sent a tape to the Bluebird Cafe in Nashville, which is, they've made a film about the place. It's incredible. It's the mecca for songwriters, you know. I just, and when you're in Nashville, and you're a songwriter, it's a whole different experience. Songwriters there are royalty, you know, and everyone's a songwriter. Everyone's got a tape in their hand. You know, the guy in the hotel who's helping you with your luggage, listen to this. You know, he doesn't know who you are. You're someone that's come in, you know, you never know, right? Mm-hmm. And it's fun. So anyway, I played at the Bluebird, and I met a fellow Canadian there, and who had established himself in Nashville, and his name's on the tip of my tongue. It'll rise up in about half an hour or so. But so that was kind of nice. But I saw people in the audience there that I'd only seen in videos, you know, and people like John Prine could walk in there. You know, I mean, I didn't see him on vacation I was there, but anyway, but I did the tour around Nashville. I went into different places, you know, with guitar in hand, and this is the way you do it. It was like really like the 1930s or something, you know. You walk in somewhere, you're talking to somebody. They're very soulful people in that town. You know, I walked around the town too on foot to get the feel of it, you know. And you know, they listen to your songs, and they you know, they tell you this or tell you that. You know, the one thing they all said was, you have to live here. You know, if you can't just like come in, and you know, you have to stay and establish yourself here, make connections here, work here all the time, which is something I couldn't do. I felt I couldn't do because I didn't have a home base, you know, because I didn't have a family basically, so I didn't have, you know, anywhere I could, you know, park my stuff or come home to, you know. I'd be sort of without a home if I came back, so I didn't, I had thought, oh, you can do it all by mail, you know. I'll just keep sending stuff down there, and, you know, maybe something will happen. But, you know, these things appear and then they fade away, you know. But anyway, the Hunter Show was a lot of fun, and they played it. They broadcast it a couple of times, so that was good. And I'm wondering, is there anything that's piquing your curiosity? Oh, you were wondering about a woman in music, and then I went on that tangent about the Crossroads Tavern experience. Most of the time, I felt fine, actually. You know, I didn't feel it was an issue. One night, one place, Brampton. Oh, that's where I had another steady gig. I played it every weekend at a place called Club 21, which was a small dining establishment. And you sat at the front, you know, and there was a wall that divided two halves of, you know, the room, one room. And so I was there for months, and that was a good job. But then I had a job in Brampton as well at another place. I can't remember what it was called. There was this, I remember like there were these guys sitting there. It was kind of a rough place, and they I guess they were just out of jail and celebrating, and anyway, when it was time for me to leave, they were still there, and I had to pack up my equipment. You know, I got good at weightlifting because I had to haul my speakers. This time I asked the manager if he would help me, you know, just so I'd have company to my car. I just intuitively felt this is a little, and sure enough, their car was right behind mine. So I just cut the lights on my car and turned down a road. I just disappeared, and I lost them, you know. Now maybe it was just a coincidence, but you know, it's something that happened, and I had to use a little street smarts there to feel safer. But actually, I never really felt unsafe anywhere, and you know, maybe I should have. You know, maybe I was missing something.
Did you have a manager back then?
Yeah, I had not exactly a manager. I had an agent, and he got me a nice booking in Cambridge at this place called the Yellow Rose, which was it's now something else. It then became something else. I don't know what it is currently, but they wanted me to come and do like like not the evening show because they had the band for that, but play in the afternoon. So they were nice people. They were a couple of airline pilots who had started up that business, and but my first trip to Cambridge was quite unusual because I got lost on the road, and I don't know how I did that. You know, sometimes the road veers off. I mean, anyway, I ended up in Fruitland, and that's very far from Cambridge. And I phoned them, you know, because I was panicking. I was in a terrible state because I hated to be late for anything, and just especially, you know, the first gig at a place, you know. Anyway, like I got there, I finally got there, but I had to come back over the Burlington Skyway, which I absolutely am terrified of, because I didn't know the other route that you can go around it. But anyway, they were very forgiving, and we got in there and we set up the thing, and it was just like nothing had happened. Like they were great, and so you know, having learned how to get there, I went back.
So how many records did you make?
Oh, formal ones. There's Blue Highway. Then there was She Used to Be a Dancer. And then there's Spirit of the Crossroads. But preceding Blue Highway were enough singles to make an album. You know, that was the one that had Louisiana Sky and I'll Always Be a Cowgirl and Cowboy Heart and songs like that, which I mean to get organized onto a cassette, because I do have, not on a cassette, but on a CD or the next technology, the one that's coming after that, or it's already here, isn't it, digital. But I have another CD, actually, length of songs in the can, as they say, and maybe one day, I'll get that organized and put it out there. Although the world has changed a lot, the music world has changed a lot. Like those were really the good old days, because you could get gigs for 6 nights and a matinee. You know, and that was very good for live music. As many musicians will tell you, who've been through that period, you know, it just started to shrink. You know, it started to become like 4 nights, 3 nights, 2 nights, 1 night, and then no nights, you know. So, but I find it difficult, frankly, to keep up with the digital world, but maybe I'll run into a digital genius one day who will help me. I keep hoping.
How about the number of, have you noticed the shrinking number of venues in Toronto? Is that affected?
Well, I'm not performing anymore
No.
myself. You know, I retired. But I do keep my ears open and I hear what's going on for other people. Yeah, and the venues are shrinking. But, you know, maybe there'll be a renaissance. You know, maybe like with, you know, like, what do you call those? You read books on a screen. What is it called?
E-readers.
E-readers, yeah. They thought this is the end of printed books, but printed material. But it's not, because the book is coming back because people want that tangible quality. And I think people will want that too, will realize that too with the music. So there's hope. There's always hope.
Vinyl is back. Vinyl's back.
Vinyl's back. Oh yes, vinyl. Yes, yes. Good old vinyl. It's a warm sound. Yeah.
One thing, talking with Danny B and Jay Douglas, they were saying how, even for performers now, I don't know how, when you retired from performing, is how, you know, the pay scale and how everything just basically froze over the years. And now it's not the same as it used to be for income, and as Danny said, he has to go to Belgium now to make money.
Oh yes, yes. Well, yeah. You know, that's interesting. I can relate to that because my music was circulated in Europe and in Asia actually, and it was on a compilation CD that you know, another fellow distributed. And then he would send this out to all of his contacts across the Netherlands, and you get a response. And I got really good responses. I had pieces were written about me, about my music. I was featured on different shows there. They told me about it. I had a correspondence with them. I got residuals. You know, as I was saying to Madeline. My song "Going Back to Heartbreak Hotel," I know did well in Taiwan because I got a really good residual for it, and I thought, this is amazing, you know. My other song though, the one that apart from "She Used to Be a Cowgirl," which did okay in a few stations, and is in Ottawa, as I mentioned. Was "She Used to Be a Dancer." It's the title song from that album, "She Used to Be a Dancer." And that I was told by the CBC, that this is like sort of inside information, that it had charted on their playlist. And also, the person who got behind that production, that CD, was Sam the Record Man, because they also distribute it, you know, to their stores across Canada. So it was possible to get it, because distribution's like a real problem, especially for independent artists. But they really, you know, helped artists. They were sincere about it, and they did the work, you know, and. You know, this article came out. This article of me in the Star when, you know, I was on a TV show called Listen Up, which was part interview and part performance, and I had Tony Corrington was backing me up. I mean, I was playing my guitar, but he was playing his too, and oh gosh, I'm just sort of gone off the rails here for a minute. Oh, can't seem to help that. Well, anyway, that was Listen Up, and that was recorded in Ontario, and gosh, do you remember where I was at?
You were talking about distribution and.
Oh, distribution.
And,
Yeah, distribution.
And charting on the CBC.
Charting on the CBC, yeah. Yeah, that was that was helpful. Like I got a little more exposure. That's what artists are always looking for, exposure, you know, and they will do a lot of things for free for exposure because they get exploited, you know, happens. And all in all, I wouldn't have changed it. I can tell you a place nearby here where I played. I remember frequently. And I can tell you the story how I got this gig. It was at the Army Navy Air Force Club that used to be on Jane Street.
Yes.
Just above Dundas. I was living in the beach then, and I lived there for decades, but I used to commute. I was playing in a club on Parliament Street when two couples came in and they were listening to my music, just solo, you know, and it was a small restaurant, and they invited me over and we were talking, and they said, well, would you like to come and play at our, you know, at the Army Navy Air Force Club? Because the gentleman who booked the place was a policeman. He was a sergeant. It was Sergeant Joe. Okay, that's all I can tell you. Sergeant Joe hired me, and he was great. He was great, so I would go out there on a Saturday afternoon and do like the matinee, and I did many times, and we always had a great time, you know. And the only thing that bothered me overall was the smoke. Because people could still smoke then, and like it gave me problems, you know, and I found it hard to deal with. That may be part of why I wanted to get into recording, you know, is a way to sort of, well, maybe you can do it this way, you know. So I guess that's about all I can rally up at the moment. I'm sure there's zillions of things that I'm pinging around, but because I did it for so many years, you know, it wasn't just the 80s that I did it. Like I did it into the 90s. Like I didn't really, you know, sort of check out until about 2002 or 3, because I think I did a Winter Folk then. That's sort of closer to, you know, when I decided to do, you know, to focus my creativity on my writing, because I've written 2 novels, one of which was published by Colombo and Company. It's called What She Can Remember. It used to be in the library. I don't know if it still is, but Canadiana, you know. So that tells another story.
And you've written quite a bit of poetry too.
Yes, I have my most recent book. I have several individual poems published in various publications, you know, and so on. I have an early chapbook called Changing Voices, which was published by Fiddlehead Books in the University of New Brunswick. And the most recent book was called Dear Ray, and that is a love poem for Raymond Souster, the great Canadian poet, and my close friend in the last 10 years of his life. And I also got into publishing. I published his last book, a posthumous book, which we didn't think was going to be posthumous till he got a diagnosis, you know. And we were going to revive his Contact Press imprint to start doing his books with. Anyway, it's called Come Rain, Come Shine, The Last Poems of Raymond Souster. 299 pages, and the man could write. He has a 10-volume collected from Oberon Press. And it contains all of the work at that point that he wished to preserve in print. My own book came out at the end of 2019 in December, and we're going to see what happens.
And you can't live in your residuals from your music, eh?
I still occasionally get something. It's bizarre. I mean, because it's so long ago. No, I can't. And I certainly can't live on poetry either. But I can live on love.
Yeah.